Welcome to the VC3 News Update. I am Shanette Hackshaw with the top local news stories for today. Sandals Resort will host a job fair on the 26th and 29th of September in an attempt to recruit some 800 persons in a number of fields. This is according to Carlos James, this country's Minister of Tourism, who was speaking yesterday at a press briefing held by his ministry. He reiterated that the investment by Sandals is a game changer for the tourism industry in this country.
Sandals will also host a job fair on the 26th and the 29th of September with the possibility of recruiting quite a number of persons, possibly up to 800 persons. And you're looking at persons with varying skill sets in administration, administrative assistants, junior accountants, income auditors, storekeepers, store attendants, general cashiers, wedding captains, videographers, irrigation personnel, landscapers, gift shop supervisors and workers, HR personnel, tennis professionals, beauticians, spa attendants, and gym instructors. And quite certainly this is just a snapshot of the amount of persons, but I'm sure in the back room they are going to likely recruit additional personnel, electricians and plumbers or maintenance crew and persons. And we have often said this is going to be one of the game changers for us, having close to 1,000 people recruited here from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and right within the tourism services sector.
Minister James also indicated that within the coming weeks, Sandals will recruit construction workers to complete the resort at Bookament Bay. James said that the numbers indicate that about 1,000 persons would benefit from the employment opportunities.
Within the next few weeks, they also will recruit a number of construction workers, close to 200 additional persons to complete the hotel at Bookament Bay before their deadline of end of the year. So when you look at the numbers we have just spoken about, you're talking about maybe close to 1,000 persons who will benefit from those employment opportunities. And I'm quite happy that it is tourism that is creating these opportunities for Vincentians. It is tourism that is ensuring that we can have the trickle-down effect by not only creating employment but put in additional services at the disposal of Vincentians, the taxi operators, tour guides, persons who are also deeply involved in the linkages that are associated to tourism.
The tourism minister added that around this time next year, the opportunities that would be available to Vincentians in the different sectors that are linked to the tourism industry would see what tourism can do for the economy.
By this time next year, the opportunities, as I mentioned, linkages that are going to be available to Vincentians in transportation services, taxi operators, persons who are employed in varying forms, farmers, accountants, persons who are keen on seeking jobs as contractors to provide services to the hotel sector here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're going to see the real true linkage of what tourism really does to the economy, and naturally we're going to see an uptick, and I'm projecting that we're likely to see an uptick within all of the sectors that are connected and interconnected to tourism. And that is what tourism really does for our economy.
James said his ministry is working with all stakeholders to provide the best available services and most diverse destination across the region. The tourism stakeholders consultations are expected to continue across the country. On Thursday, September 21, a consultation will be held in Barley at the Barley Government School. Then on Saturday, the 23rd of September at Chantabelair at the Chantabelair Methodist School. Meanwhile, the Independence Committee is continuing its mission to embrace and celebrate everything Vincentian. That was the message delivered by Rodney Small yesterday to update the nation on the independence celebration. This country will celebrate its 44th year of independence on October 27.
The Independence Committee will continue to collaborate and promote everything St. Vincent and the Grenadines, embracing our core values and bringing Vincentians locally, regionally, and internationally together as we continue to enhance our identity, creating a marriage with tradition and modern-day approaches. This year marks our 44th year as an independent nation, and even while we celebrate this milestone, the planning for our 45th anniversary will commence. Hence the reason for our theme, our fortitude, our people, our identity. Road to 45.
Small said that the events that lead up to the celebration of independence are organized by the government through the National Independence Committee and the private sector. He also gave an overview of the activities that will take place leading up to independence.
This marriage has proven to be a very successful one and is encouraged. Some of the major activities that would embark upon our 44th anniversary of independence, but not limited to, includes the cleanup of Kingstown, the decorating of Kingstown, businesses, schools, government buildings, churches, and communities, the Miss SVG pageant, diaspora events, the Medical Association Pink Cap Walk around Kingstown, Color Fete and other private promoters events, the National Independence Parade, the school's Independence Rally, Everything VC Expo, Panning the Streets, Masters Cricket, Computech Masters Football, National Church Service, the Football Federation International Soccer Matches, Lions Club Public Speaking Competition, Motorsports Activities, Madongo Festival at Chateau Park, National Day of Prayer, the Signing Euphonium Pan Jamboree, a lecture at the community college with a focus on our identity, and much more. And as we are talking tourism, our hope is that some of these activities will be seen as tourism products.
All teams, organizations, and people participating in the Community Christmas Light Up and 9 Mornings event will gather for a meeting with the National Lotteries Authority 9 Morning Festival Management Committee. This meeting will focus on making plans and preparations for the 2023 9 Mornings Festival. It is set to take place on Saturday, September 30 at 9 a.m. at the Peace Memorial Hall. Still in our local news stories, addressing the G77 plus China summit in Cuba on the weekend, Prime Minister Gonsalves said that there are 8 billion people in the world, and since the 18th century, there have been rulers of a golden billion people. He said that we are now at an inflection point where this must be stopped.
There are 8 billion people in the world. Since the 18th century and into the 19th century, there have been rulers of what you may call today a golden billion people. Not the billion people who are ruling, you know. It's the rulers of those billion people. Well, we are at a particular inflection point in our history where we have to stop this. Otherwise, we are going to end up being marginalized and being given crumbs from the sumptuous table. You know that, and I know that.
He said that notwithstanding this, the world continues to proceed in that manner. Dr. Gonsalves also pointed out that there are 3 approaches awaiting us: rolling over and playing dead, making accommodations, or resisting creatively.
There are 3 broad approaches awaiting us. We can roll over and play dead, which we are not prepared to do. That's why we are gathered here in Havana in the G77. We can make accommodations where necessary and desirable, but always bear in mind that when we are making those accommodations, we must not end up in a cul-de-sac. We mustn't find ourselves in a dead end. We must continue to move to the mountaintop, despite the fact that in accommodating, we may take some zigs and some zags. And very critically, in solidarity, we have to resist creatively around an agenda which is our own and which we own. We can't come off the world with the countries of the golden billion. We have to engage them. But we have to engage them more seriously in our own interests.
He also mentioned that Cuba was praised for the development of vaccines during the COVID-19 pandemic, which were not utilized by several countries due to the regulatory regime. He termed it as an example of who gets what, when, where, and how. Schools across the country will be engaged in a pilot project with the National Qualifications Department, the Technical Vocational Education and Training, and the National Broadcasting Corporation as they begin a semester-long course on radio broadcasting. The MBC and the Ministry of Education partnered together to execute the pilot project, which is aimed at students in the third form from 3 secondary schools. The students are expected to be engaged in a competency-based learning and would be able to independently operate a radio broadcasting studio at the end of the semester. The program is aimed at transferring practical and useful skills to the students in an effort to increase their potential to avail themselves to multiple opportunities when they are ready to enter the job market. At the end of the training, students will receive a National Vocational Qualification Certificate. And finally, in news from the Beauty Shows Committee, the 9 delegates vying for the Miss SVG Beauty Pageant to be held on October 7 at the Victoria Park are at this moment having a meet and greet with the media. The event is being held at the Louis Hotel at Indian Bay. The 9 delegates are Roisha Telemark, Miss In Transit Exports, Tara Richardson, Miss JCI, Simisha Millington, Miss Careers Ace Hardware, Niall Board, Miss Flo, Chino Hooper, Miss National Lotteries Authority, Irina Foy, Miss Massey Stores Limited, Deanna Fabian, Miss Playful, Denicia Batswain, Miss Merchant General Insurance Limited, and Letitia Barber, Miss Grenadine House. The contestants have recently completed their community projects and have also visited schools. Those are our local news stories. Continue watching the VC3 News Update on Channel 114, where we'll bring you regional and international news.